Welcome to Thought Leader Thursday podcast.
I've never met Wes. I trusted some friend of mine, Peter, who said, "Go meet this guy in some place on this planet called Puerto Rico," right? I take my I wear only bow ties, by the way. I love bow ties, and that's because as a child I was a fashion designer from the age of 15 to 24. So I'm the only mentally unstable person in Silicon Valley that doesn't wear a black t-shirt and a jeans, but wears a bow tie and cufflinks. And so it's crazy. I'm the only guy in the entire Silicon Valley. It's become my brand almost. I'll go to Google and they'll say, "Oh, that's that guy Zain." But trust me, so I bring this jacket and bow tie, and first thing he says, and our meeting was supposed to be 2 o'clock. I never told Wes this. 10 o'clock, because I was going to come at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I thought I'd catch a couple of hours of sleep so I can bullshit with him. And I don't get that chance because he calls me up and he says, "Hey, 10 o'clock, let's go." So I said, "Okay, let's go. Where do we go?" "We're going to the beach." I said, "What? I can't sell you some insurance and make some money from you. You're going to take me to the beach."
Yep.
And then I said, so the truth is, Taylor and Michael, you don't know, he's a con artist. He doesn't work at all. I'll swear, I will go to court and swear under perjury that I didn't see him work at all. He was on the beach. He went to a waterfall. Then he made me walk an old 69-year-old guy up some steps. I almost died, to another waterfall. And then he wanted to go to another waterfall. I said, "Hey, I will fall before the waterfalls. I know more." I love you, Wes. I really met him, and what a guy.
Oh yeah.
Well, and it's entirely accurate, and we're introduced. This is, and Michael and Taylor, who have now done business with me, this isn't odd or weird or rare for them, but so we're introduced by a gentleman that owns an AMS, and he says, "Wes, you and Zain are going to like each other." That was about it. That's about all the context I got. We had a 30-minute meeting, and next thing I know, he's here in Puerto Rico, and he calls me the con artist, but when I show up, his wallet's lost. And so I get there and his wallet's lost. So I'm like, okay, if we're playing games, let's go.
He found it when you dropped him back off at the airport.
And I'm translating.
No, I found the wallet. It was in my room in a coat.
It was in his room. In his room the whole time. I'm listening like he's wanting to file a police report, and both Taylor and Michael have been in Puerto Rico.
I can't believe you did the old hide the wallet on the guest trick on him too. You do that to everybody. That's
well, and Michael, you'll respect this because you've been here in Puerto Rico. You know how the cops are out here. Michael and me have been shooken down together. We were together when it happened. So Zain starts filing a police report, like getting ready to file a police report.
I've never seen you claim your Utah residency so fast. The entire
I'm
trip,
Utah today. I'm not
like,
today.
The entire trip, you're like, "I'm basically Puerto Rican. I've been living here for a couple of years. I speak Spanish. I'm going to take you to all the best places." The cop pull us over. He's like, "My name is Wes Anderson. I'm from Utah, and I don't know where I am or what the laws are around here." And the cops were just like, "You may go."
You may go. So we sorted through it all, but I'm explaining to him.
He wanted to make money off me. Wes was trying to make money because he said, "Hey, they're asking for a bribe."
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, everything I say is half untrue and half is fabricated.
Well, what a beautiful intro. And this whole crew, what's so exciting is our common thread for each of us. We've all been to Crash Boat Beach together. Like I've been with all of you to Crash Boat Beach. We've all been to Gozalandia. So that's the one he's referring to, the one that has the two spots. So everybody on this call has felt the love, the awesomeness that is this island, and multiple people, as Zain just expressed, have almost died on this island. But you've all lived to tell the tale. You've all made it back to your beautiful families. Everyone's okay. Businesses are still afloat. And that's an incredibly beautiful segue to this podcast.
I want to know when some of these stories are old enough to tell. A lot of them have been kept under wraps.
Hey, the stories for me, they as soon as someone wants to tell, I don't have any time frame or shelf life. Like they can go, because most people think that I don't even live on an island. Most people think I live in Costa Rica, not Puerto Rico, or why they're here in Puerto Rico, they think they're in Mexico the whole time. So yeah, I got no shelf life on that. I kind of gave Zain a good segue into how we operate on this podcast. It's as we started out here, you know, entertaining. It's you know, something for us to give back to the industry, to share to the industry, tangible type stuff. This is an opportunity for two camps of individuals and people that I love to get together and meet each other. And I mean, I think that the first question that I would start this, I'm super curious, Zane. You know, you're this guy that wears bow ties, has these beautiful glasses, showed me a picture of you and Hugh Jackman the night before, hanging out before you get to Puerto Rico. You're this mystery man, but I learned that philanthropic activities are your passion. So my first curious question, if you were to weigh like business pursuits and philanthropic pursuits, how does the scale tilt one versus the other as far as what your passion and love is?
Wow, that's a loaded question. So, you know, there's a side of my brain which is completely greedy and driven and money only. And there's a side of my brain that we all have, which is more compassionate, cares about humanity, cares about humans and people in general. And we've all come across in our careers, in the early start of our careers, when an insurance company tells you that if you make these many sales, you'll get a cruise liner and you get a flight to, you know, somewhere in Mexico and have a great time if you just sell 2 more policies. And then you have a choice of either keeping the client with the policy that really works for him versus getting this new product in which you'll go to a cruise liner, and that challenge is placed on you. And it's sad, Wes, that our industry has done some criminal acts in the progression of its few hundred years of being there, which is the insurance industry in the U.S. First of all, you know, being compensated 110% or 150% on a life insurance sale forces you to churn that client every 4 or 5 years, right? Because you'll make commissions. Then our industry is also bonused, and we're bonused and prized and cherished and certificates given on the amount of sales we do. There hasn't been a great push towards rewarding Taylor for all the times he went through pain and suffering to take care of a customer that had to be taken care of. We don't see those rewards. We just see the accolades on, you know, 1 million sales, $1 million round table, and et cetera, et cetera. So what I was saying is that, you know, the industry has not rewarded good behavior, but rewarded good results. So if you know, Taylor goes and sells $20 million of sales, and I go and save a man's company from going bankruptcy, and they're running around getting him right coverages so they can get the premiums, I'll get no credit for it. I'll give you a case in point. We were with a customer in Houston 2 days ago. Their premiums were 12.5 million, and we on commercial premium, and we dropped it to 8.3. The first thing that comes in my mind is, you know, imagine if your sales are 12.4 million premium versus 8.3, what happens to my commissions? It's a massive drop, right? And the work will be the same because it's property insurance, and property insurance is really tough to write right now. But it was the right thing to do. So I think we don't get rewarded for that. So my philanthropic side has grown slowly as both as you age and as my book became better. And Wes, to answer the question, I right now really live to raise insurance brokers, because I feel a lot of older insurance agents of my age, I'm 69, I'll turn 69 in June, really have no exit. The industry hasn't done anything for us. So if you have a small book and you're making $150,000, $200,000 a year, there's no exit for you. You got to work all your life, literally. How do you survive otherwise? What do you do? You know, there's no pensions and stuff and et cetera, unless you are captive with the carrier as an employee. So I've become more philanthropic towards trying to help insurance industry, veterans, and that's how we met. Where says I'm trying to get, you know, staffing solutions for insurance brokers at a very low price so they can continue to survive as they age. So long answer to a quick short question.
No, I think that was good. And I think it was a loaded question in the back of my head. I feel like the philanthropic things you do and the stuff you do for your day-to-day job, if you compare the two, and there's things where it's time to be philanthropic and it's time to be a capitalist. If you have that paired effectively, people think you can't. But the interesting part is when those are aligned, you'll run through walls for your people. And it's probably the most potent thing that a entrepreneur can have is a philanthropic goal that they're pursuing, which almost always pairs up with, you know, the help of humanity or helping other people. And those individuals tend to have higher amounts of longevity, go to greater depths and problems they're trying to fix. They work harder and often smarter. And then you see the inverse of that, those that are only focused on the capitalistic side of things, which I am a capitalist, so I don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong there. It just doesn't have the longevity and the stamina. And it gets boring. And so it's always a curiosity of mine to ask this. But you know, with Insurance Soup and with Taylor and Michael, one of the coolest things that I've learned about these guys is extreme diversity. Like it's a group of soup, like just a whole cauldron of soup. I've been to years of my life at conferences, and you just see Mel, Stel, and Pell everywhere you go. And I went to theirs in Texas this last year, and there was this extreme diversity, and it was like my heart was just full. I honestly wasn't expecting that. You know, of all places to Texas, it was like, so it was awesome, and it was not what I thought. And I think that there's always power when you're combining all of these different ingredients into something special like that. So Taylor and Michael, you're getting a crash course here with Zain. What are some of your questions as you get to know him? You're getting to know him right here on this call here.
Yeah, it sounds like, Zain, you've got to experience the industry in many different ways. Where do you see the industry needing the most improvement that would affect, you know, the agent level side of things?
You know, there's two things that have happened since about a year and a half or 2 years ago that really have drastically changed the world. AI, really. AI will get rid of everybody that's negligent in adapting to change.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not adapting quick enough, you'll be kicked out, right? So I think the biggest winners in the insurance industry will be people that adapt to the change, adapt it, inculcate it, and bring AI into that. So what does that mean? That means if I was quoting 10 policies a day as an individual agent somewhere, I should now be able to quote 25, 30 policies a day using technology and AI. And I think that's where the insurance industry still is lagging behind, because they feel you can go into an office, sit in a plaid suit, talk about the football game, and then sell some insurance. Well, the consumer has no longer got time to talk about football games when you come to his office or want to see his insurance agent. And I think more and more agents have got to understand that it's no longer going to be a relationship business. It's going to be really a practical, good coverage, good competitive value, premiums, and great value business as we walk. Because now, as Amazon did, right, or as Uber did to taxis, or Amazon did to all these stores, I see grocery stores and mom and pop stores just closing left and right across the country. And every time I go, they say, "Oh, we're closing." Why? Well, people buy the stuff on Amazon. And, you know, Amazon, they can get it delivered in the next day. They don't have to leave out in the snow or the rain, etc. Insurance industry has to adapt to that. The insurance carriers, for all the agents listening, are not going to plan. They don't want you to be around because you're a burden of 5% if it's medical, 10% to 15% if it's commercial. So, you know, they want you out because they can now access with tons of money. In fact, I won't name the carriers, There are a few carriers that in certain states have come up with an online version and the agent version. And the online version is reflectively cheaper by 10% or 5% or whatever the cost difference is. So resonates your value, the agent will really have to, Taylor, struggle to make value to that intellect, because now, Wes is going to go on his cell phone and he'll do this. Hey, ChatGPT, can you tell me, I've got my car, my BMW, can you get me quotes for that? That's all he'll do. And ChatGPT will just go and boom, boom, boom. In a few minutes, come back and say, here, I found one for $340 a month. I've looked at your records. I've also looked at what your history is, your claims history. I've also taken your current policy. I'm sending it to I'm sending it to State Farm, and they'll come back and tell you, for example, and to give you to all insurance agents, if you all watch the 49er and Chiefs game this last weekend or the weekend before, if you watched it, then you must have a red flag. State Farm and Progressive were advertising there massively. Yet they're not writing in Texas. They're not writing in California. They're not writing in Florida right now. There are carriers out there that are not writing any policies in certain categories, Wes. And guess what they're doing? They're saying, if you don't produce a certain amount this quarter, we're going to drop your comp by 2%. There's one carrier, one of the 4 largest captive carriers in the country, not to mention the name, has announced that we're going to drop your commission by 2.5% each quarter that you don't hit. So if you're making 8% on workers' comp, you will end up making 2%. In property insurance, you'll end up making 2% in 4 quarters if you don't meet our targets. And by the way, when you send us a quote, we don't write that business anyway. Wow. So agents, Taylor, to long answer to your question, we've all got to team up. So I'm here. I have wealth of knowledge. I'm all in my philanthropic side of my career, where when you get to a certain age, as Warren Buffett did, or some of these rich people did, they give it all away because they realize money makes no crap of difference to your life. It's too sad that Mother Nature doesn't teach us till we get to 60 and say, oh, I wasted my life. I should have been what Wes does right now, which is be on the beach with my family, with my kids. Wes, when I saw you, I think I don't know if I mentioned to you, I'm a cats in the cradle guy, Dad. Really am. I'm the guy who didn't spend time with his kids so I could make all this wealth, right? But what good is it? In the end, you realize it wasn't worth it. So I think we need to all collectively, all insurance brokers, agencies need to collectively work together to see how we'll save this industry. Because most of us don't have any other skill that we can rely on if we're already at the age of 55 to 65. There's nothing else we'll be able to do.
No, I agree.
We're definitely barreling into a new era here for sure. You made an interesting point around around the way that AI is ultimately potentially going to envelop the entire industry and whatnot. While you were making your point, you had mentioned that you feel like the younger people that are coming up aren't really that interested in relationships. And I by and large agree with you on the front side of the sale, but I'm not sure if I agree with you totally on the back side of the sale. Whereas coming in, they are absolutely looking for for quick and easy, and does this give me everything that I need? Yes, it does. Is it less than I'm paying currently? Yes, it is. Let's go. But on that back side of the transaction, not having that personal involvement is something that sends them through the roof. So, I'm not totally sure where this all ultimately leads, but one thing is for sure in my head, we are at what I consider to be, you can't even really call it the precipice at this point, because we're almost 18 months into it being widely public, but we are at the starting line again of another one of those new eras. And if you're listening and not watching right now, I'm throwing air quotes up. We're entering a new era where everybody right now is saying if you don't latch on to AI, you're going to get left behind. And what's funny is we entered this same chapter about 15 years ago with social media. And 15 years ago, we were banging the drum. This is the next big thing. You got to get on board here or you're going to get left behind. And what's funny is here we are 15 years later, and there are still social media gurus popping up saying if you don't grab onto social media, you're going to be left behind. If you're a brand new social media guru in 2024 sending out a message of you're going to get left behind, you were already left behind. And I feel like that is what's happening right now as we enter in this AI era. If you don't embrace it now, you're going to be listening to a guru in 8 years telling you that you're going to get left behind. Meanwhile, you've already been left behind.
That's very
Yeah,
true.
I think the initial sale has become more transactional. It's funny. I was talking to my son the other day. He's 7, and he wanted me to order something for his bedroom. And I said, all right, buddy, it'll be here in like 2 weeks. He's like, well, just order it so it'll be here tomorrow. I said, well, that's not an option. Like it's going to take 2 weeks to get here. And he couldn't comprehend because he's gotten so used to ordering and it showing up the next day or even later that day. And then I went even further and said, buddy, like when I was your age, I used to look at a magazine and would have to order it and it would just show up whenever the hell it showed up. Like there wasn't a way to know it's going to be here in 3 days. And I think that's, like Amazon, same day delivery, it's kind of programmed us as humans to not be patient because now you can go to the internet and find out anything. You can go to Amazon and order anything and you're getting instant results. So it's, that whole cycle now has programmed us to not be patient with it and find that instant result. So that initial sale I view as moving more of that transactional. And like Mike said, the retention is more of that. Okay, now that's where the relationship really comes in play, is to keep them from going back to that transactional sale.
What's crazy is how reliant we've become on all of the technology at large, regardless of what category you're even talking about. Over the weekend, my wife and we took in a show in New York City, and it was a different type of entertainment, as far as like what was going on and whatnot. But to keep you in the moment, they made us check our phones. And the anxiety that I felt just in having to hand my phone over to someone for a couple of hours, and if you're watching this, you're not seeing me, but like throughout like the performance, I'm literally like, even though I know someone's got my phone, I'm feeling in my pockets like every 15 minutes and still having that where's my phone moment. That's how embedded it is.
Yeah. We have become an instant gratification society.
For sure.
So I'm going to go online and look for a car, and I quote, I like it. Now expect that when I say buy now, that by the time I press the buy now, the car will be parked outside on my lot. It's not possible sometimes, right? And and I think that's really the truth. So, I was at a meeting in Mountain View, California, and we were talking, I was attending it, and I think Meta was there, Google guys were there, and a couple other AI guys. And they said AI is not going to disrupt all the jobs, but it will disrupt the jobs of people who don't adapt to it. So it's how the insurance industry takes it and uses it and benefits it. I remember in 1998, I, in fact, by the way, came out with the first online policy on this planet in 1998, which is almost like now, 26 years ago. And the way we did it is we would get into a quoting engine. People will quote it, request for a quote, and then my team in the back would go and run the quotes out, and then hourglass would come up and they would push it out. So the hourglass and my people in India would actually do all the manual quotes. This is 1997. There were no APIs and actuaries. So they would do the regular quotes on all the sites and push the number out. And then they'd say, buy now. When they do buy now, then the team would get back and put an hourglass and we'd put everything in there. So it worked at that time. And it has become a reality now. And that has made us this instant gratification. Amazon, I think, has changed the way we think, the way we move, the way we look at returns. That if I buy, no matter what I buy, it doesn't matter what price I paid, for no cost to me, I can just go drop it back and I'll get a refund without, without that Apple guy saying, okay, did you open this box? Oh, let me see. What is you missing here? All that crap is gone. I buy stuff, I can just go and dump it back to them. And I think that's and so is that going to come in insurance where people buy a policy? We have a 10-day look and a 20-day look. Would it be like, I don't like it, I'll just cancel it? No flat cancellations? Possibly. No pre-cancellation charges, no penalties, no. And broker fees are going to be very difficult to push now because you will be able to buy it from Chubb directly or from you, and the difference is, now it won't matter on a $340 policy if you're ethical and you're not charging the $400 broker fee, but it will matter where the premiums are into millions and all of a sudden there's a broker fee.
Absolutely.
Interestingly enough, I think the correlation that AI coming in, often people have the tendency to get afraid, and what they don't understand and they fear, they reject. And I think that there's powerful words being stated that you need to leverage this tool and you need to use it. And we've also been having a lot of discussion here about what Amazon's done. There's an interesting podcast where Bezos and Lex Friedman discuss Amazon and the build out of it. And there's less in that podcast of Jeff Bezos talking about creating this new technology, but rather he constantly refers to standing on the shoulders of some of the greatest technological advancements, of our time, whether it be the internet, whether it be, the various things that he leveraged to create Amazon. And I think behind every great successful person, every great entrepreneur, and hopefully following the trend, very powerful insurance people, is that ability to stand on the shoulders of great technology, including, and don't be afraid of, AI. It's here, it's not going anywhere. It's ours to adopt, because the rejection of it is going to have consequences. So it's certainly something that we want to adopt. And yeah, I think it's really, really powerful that's something that's understood, by those in the insurance community.
And AI is not going anywhere when the AMSs, the big ones, are seeing that AI is important. It's already incorporated it, to an extent, and has plans to go, even further. So to not adapt and incorporate it at the agency level when the platform you operate off of believes in it so much that now they're incorporating it into their platforms, sometimes it just makes me shake my head.
You need to meet our buddy CJ Hudson Pillar, who is one of the brightest minds in this industry when it comes to agent level artificial intelligence. He should definitely be a part of our next conversation.
Imagine the average age of an insurance agent in the US is 61 years old. Average. These guys are aging, and they're really, and most people say, I'm exceptional because I live in Silicon Valley, but many agents at that age don't want to go on AI or ChatGPT and all that stuff. So how do we help them?
Another thing, Zane, I didn't tell you this part. We these are quick 30-minuters, and that felt like 20 seconds for me. This one could have gone on for hours, but I don't know, if we don't stop now, this will go on for hours.
Oh, absolutely.
I know this, and that's why this is where you need Puerto Rico, and you need Crash Boat Beach, and you need, the place where we saw the sunset, because then those hour-long conversations are out of this world and are exceptional, and our industry changing. In closing, as we wrap this up, are there any questions? I spent a full day with Zain here on the island. Are there any questions, Michael or Taylor, that you guys want to close or end with?
What's the one thing that you look to accomplish, Zain, before you hang it up?
I really think there's an industry, 478,000 agents and brokers in the US, that are being stormily be taken over by AI and insurance carriers, just to give them an exit. So, as the industry, like the taxi industry, nobody in the taxi industry really adapted quick enough to help them as Uber took over. And the medallions that were worth $1 million were worth zero. It
The
drove a lot
cabs
of
in New York City, that's where I was this past weekend. The cabs in New York City, like they're tougher to find. They used to be every second or third car. Now they're like 1 out of 8, 1 out of 10. And I'll tell you, it's a hell of a lot more convenient for me to pull up an app, know that my ride is a minute away, know the
Yep.
name of the person, have that customer service, have that accountability, like all of that versus who's this random person who I'm jumping in the back of their car right now.
Not only that, and yeah, so I think we collectively, the ones that have arrived or have the connections and the ability, need to create enough in the insurance industry so that those that want to stay on it have some hope. And that would be my dream. And I'm working towards it. For those smaller agents will never get there and they'll probably die, and then the families are hurt and the wife and kids are hurt and everybody's hurt because they don't have revenue coming in. The country's, with this $800 billion worth of loans coming due sometime the end of this year, 800 billion is going to drive a lot of people homeless. There's a lot happening, and then climate change and all the property rising. I think we that have arrived have a duty to help all these guys out and have fun at it. I mean, imagine the fun and joy of helping.
No, absolutely. We got to get you to Soup Live, Zane. Wes mentioned it's an event like nothing he's been to. Mike and I strategically designed it so that we don't profit off the event. We only have a limited amount of sponsors that we allow, and it's ones that, we can actually put our stamp of approval on, not just anyone. But we work, 6-9 months to put it together. And last year cost us 40 grand to host it, but it's all about value to the agents. It's not selling programs from stage. It's not trying to upsell them once they get there. It's just about value.
Oh yeah, I mean, we like Taylor mentioned, we limit the sponsors, and while every other conference out there is trying to get you to pay, $500 to $1,000 plus a ticket and 2-3 grand for your VIPs, we're trying to get you in for under $200, and we're taking a $40 loss on your being there.
Wow. How many guys did you have last time?
Last year, we were around 250. This year, we're looking to get it to around 400, between 400 and 500. And it's a unique event. Last year, we had beer donkeys walking around with saddlebags full of beer at lunch. So it's not your typical insurance conference.
No, and we got jumbotrons and a DJ playing, entry music for everyone. You feel more like you're at like a doesn't really sound even like the two words should be together, but it's more like being at like an insurance festival.
Wow. Yeah. Anything I can help, and please reach out to me. Whatever you need.
Zane, are you able to duck down for a second? I want to see if there's a lamp that you're going to go back into when we get off this call.
Well, I use mine probably not wisely. Within seconds, he bought me a bag of chips, and it was a great bag of chips, and it was barbecue. Remember, they were barbecue, and it was like maybe the best I've ever had.
You wasted your one wish, Wes.
Go get those chips. And he got it, and I was like, I'm happy as a clam. I think I made a great choice.
When is it?
It's
May 7th, 8th, and 9th in Arlington, Texas.
Oh my God. I think I'll try to make, my son is getting married in Mexico, and we'll leave on the 9th from California. So I'll try and do the 7th for sure. 8th, I'll probably have to fly out there to get there. In Arlington, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So it was great having you on and getting to meet you, Zane. You're an amazing guy.
We should meet in person.
Absolutely.
Wherever you are, I can see you're cooking a lot of good stuff on coffee, so I'll come and have your coffee, and we'll have a good time.
Sounds
Pleasure
great.
meeting. Thanks, Michael.
You as well.
Thanks, Taylor.
Good meeting you.
Yes.
Very good to
Love
meet
you
you.
guys. God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Take care.